And welcome back to another edition of A World Gone Mad, Season 1, Episode 28. I'm your host, Jeff Allen Wolf. Let's jump right in. All right, we got big problems in the Middle East. Fears of the Israel and Hezbollah war are growing after the Golan Heights strike that killed the 12 children in the soccer field. Fear is growing to a wider war between Israel and Hezbollah. The attack hit an Israeli-occupied Golan Heights area that killed 12 children. Israel blames Hezbollah for the attack and has said the militant group will pay the price. Now, the Security Cabinet authorized Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Defense Minister Yoav Gallant to decide on the nature and timing of the response against Hezbollah. Lebanon says it received reassurances from third countries that Israel's response would be limited. Now, Netanyahu again was given the go-ahead to do whatever he needs to do at any date and time by any means possible to retaliate in any way he sees fit for this unfortunate attack that killed the children. The White House says Israel has the right to respond to Golan Heights attacks. Worries of a broader war exaggerated in their minds. I don't know how they can say that. Now, Iran's president-elect warns of severe consequences if Israel attacks Lebanon. So here we go again, and this time it may be unstoppable in the escalation. I don't see how this is going to be contained, and it does affect us and everywhere around the world because if this grows into a bigger war, it has trickle-down consequences for every country. And here's some Kamala Harris news. Her plan originally as a running mate was to brush past J.D. Vance as, nothing but a rubber stamp to Donald Trump. He's basically a yes man. But now that she's the presumptive Democratic nominee, her campaign is seizing on the Ohio senator and that he's a major liability, understatement, looking to her own vice presidential selection process and the contenders' public auditions to drive home the point. Now, basically, she said that J.D. Vance was weird, among other comments I can give, and he's a heartbeat away from the presidency, etc. Now, Harris also endorsed Biden's call for some major Supreme Court reforms today, saying the changes would restore confidence in the court, strengthen our democracy, and this was a statement she released from the campaign. Changes just have to happen, okay, in the court? The Supreme Court is on a breathing tube, in my opinion, with everything going on with the conservative side for all their backstories personally, flags flying upside down, taking, gifts and money for business trips, so-called business trips, vacations, plane tickets, decisions based on politics they've been doing and not the Constitution. So reforms from Biden that he suggested that Kamala has endorsed need to take place. Term limits, an ethics committee oversight group. There just needs to be changes in general. A lot of people calling for Supreme Court members to be added to the bench. I don't know how feasible that is or isn't. What's your opinion? Do you think any Supreme Court people should be added to the bench? Let me know. Like to hear from the listeners. So that's where we stand at the moment in the campaign. And she's raising almost, $200 million in campaign finances, and wait till she announces her VP pick, which I will still believe it's going to be Senator Mark Kelly from Arizona. Any of you have other suggestions, opinions, you know how to reach me. Let me hear from you. This is still early before we get to hear the pick, so you have time to tell me who you think will be her pick. Now, if any of my listeners caught this, the FBI, not the first part, but the second part coming up, the FBI officially stated that Donald Trump was hit by a bullet and not shrapnel. Now, I'm not going to get involved in a conspiracy theory here. However, this is the part I want to know if any of you have read or heard this. Apparently, following the shooting, or rather the attempted assassination on Donald Trump, he was seen boarding his plane without a bandage on his ear, without any injury to his ear. Now, I haven't been able to verify this, but that's what I read. Have you seen this? Do you have further information on this as a listener? No injury, no bandage. Apparently, the bullet hit his ear, like Donald said, and, caused damage, etc. So I don't know who knows what really happened or didn't happen, but Donald certainly is using this to his advantage, right? Sneakers, the defiant fist pump with shirts. We're going to milk this puppy, or rather squeeze this ear until it could bleed no more. All right, to all the great Wolfpack listeners out there, I'm going to ask for everyone's help with this. This is for all of you listening to my podcast. In my recording studio, on a wall, I'm going to be placing a map of the United States and a map of the world outside of the United States. And I'm going to be putting push pins in from where all you listeners are from, where you're listening to the show from. So if you would kindly, respectfully, I ask you to please send me an email to let me know what city and state you're listening from or what country. I will then be able to put that on the map with a push pin to see where the audience is located. The other reason I'm asking for you to email me is for verification, because I have a sponsor potentially for my show, and they wanted me to verify the listening audience before they sponsored the show. So if you could help me, I would appreciate that. This is important. I can show them documentation of where the listeners are from and how popular and how much it's growing, and they would then agree to sponsor the show. All I need is you simply to write me an email. Your first name, city and state where you're listening from, and or country. That's it. And I can verify with the sponsor that there are the actual listeners of the show in these places. Now, when I come back, I would like to talk about some observations and thoughts about social media and what I came across when I heard from some Trump supporters, and it just amazes me how they think. I'm going to take a short break. You'll get all the information on how to reach me, to send me that email for my potential sponsor, and I'll be right back.
This is a world gone mad. This is a world gone mad.
You're listening to A World Gone Mad. Thank you. And you could reach me by sending me an email. And the email is AWorldGoneMadPodcast, AWorldGoneMadPodcast @gmail.com. Leave your first name in the email, your age, your location, where you're, listening to us from, what app, etc., and any comments you have. Also, don't forget to hit subscribe. That way I can let you know when the new episode goes online. It's automatic and it's free. Also, if you can review, rate, rank the show on the app you're listening from, that helps me tremendously. I thank you for listening, whether you just joined us for the first time or have been listening for a while. I appreciate that. And now, back to the show.
This is a world gone mad. This is a world gone mad.
I'm Jeff Allen Wolf. Welcome back. All right, so I've been lately on TikTok. Yes, I know TikTok. But the reason why I'm on TikTok is because I'm marketing my podcast. And I'm listening in on some of these live channels. I don't know if you're aware what the live channels are. I touched base on this the previous episode of the show. And I'm doing this late at night. I'm a night owl. I'm up till 12 midnight, 1 in the morning. And you scroll through TikTok, and there are live channels happening by people who are hosting a channel out of their house, bedroom, kitchen, wherever, and letting people come in to talk. So you see the host, but you hear the other people who are in the room. And there are Democratic channels and Republican channels where the host is either a Democrat or Republican hosting that channel. And they allow both sides of the aisle to comment live within that channel. Now, one of the takeaways from this that I found is a handful, not all, can't say all because I haven't seen all the channels on the internet, but a handful of Republican voters say the following in almost every channel to everyone else in the room listening. And this is their comment out loud. Well, I'm asking everyone here, what in Donald Trump's 4 years in the White House was so terrible in what he did? Wow. And I'm typing furiously with my comments. Are you kidding me? What was so bad that Donald did when he was in the White House? And I'm just personally stunned by this thinking. And they don't say it sarcastically. They say it with a belief system, with the fiber ingrained in their thinking and their soul that Donald Trump has not done anything that bad or anything terrible with his 4 years in power. So I'm going to ask you, the listening audience, the Wolfpack listeners, how do you feel, and what are the 3 bad things that Donald Trump did while he was in office? You have the email, the phone number, etc. You know how to reach me. Please comment. I would like to be able to hear back from you to answer to us, the rest of the listeners and myself, in these channels with people like yourself listening collectively, what your thoughts are. What are the 3 things that Donald Trump did when he was in the White House for his 4 years that was so bad to this country and yourself? Now, I recently posted a meme on my Facebook group, and the meme basically stated, promise them everything, give them nothing. And I posted that Donald Trump picture, at the podium. And one person said, that's so true. And then wrote me back, wait. He did promise one thing. And he reneged on about being for women, etc. And basically took away women's rights, Roe v. Wade, etc. So again, what's your takeaway? What do you think? I have many myself, but I want to hear from you. Now, you could include that in the email to me with your first name, city, state, where you're listening from, and the country with the answer to this question. And so I can use also to put the push pins in the map. All right? So some answers, guys, for those out there who are lost in the wilderness about Donald Trump being such a nice guy. I can then present them when I'm in these channels. Hey, this is what I'm getting from the Democratic side. How do you feel about this? These are the things that he did bad. All right, I would also like to remind some of you, if you haven't heard yet, I'm also doing a video podcast called From the Wolf's Den. You can find it on TikTok and YouTube. We have the Facebook group, A World Gone Mad Podcast. Join us. We have almost 412 members now. So I want to thank you so much for listening to another episode. Send me that email, please. That helps me with the sponsor that generates money to expand the show and market it. It's very, very important to continue with the show with sponsors. I'm your host, Jeff Allen Wolf, and I will be back with another episode of A World Gone Mad and From the Wolf's Den video podcast. So until next time, please stay hopeful.